Hi, Stitchers. Welcome to Tatreez Talk, where we share conversations about Palestinian embroidery. I'm Amani here with my co-host Lena, chatting with talented embroiderers and artists, sharing their stories, inspirations, and the cultural significance behind their work.
On today's episode, we're chatting with Muna El-Zeet, a project manager in genetics, as well as the founder of Tatreez Revival and a workshop facilitator. Thank you so much for joining us on Tatreez Talk today, Muna.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And yeah, I've been listening to Tatreez Talk while I stitch, so this is great. It's an honor.
Yay. Habibi, we love that. That's the whole point. We want you all to listen while you stitch and hopefully get inspired by your other Tatreezers, your other fellow Tatreezers. So thank you so much. So, Mana, we love to start off by having you share a little bit about you and your family's connection to Palestine.
Sure. So I'm Palestinian. My mum and dad are both Palestinian. So I was born in England, but I sort of lived in Palestine for a few years when I was younger. So my dad's family is from near Nablus, a town near Nablus called Akkaba. And it's a small village, very tiny village. And then so is my mum's family as well. So my mum's family is from Meitalun, which is close to Jenin, so both in the West Bank. But my grandmother was actually from Haifa originally, and then they were displaced, of course, into the West Bank. So yeah, got roots kind of everywhere in a sense. But yeah, my heart is in Palestine as much as, you know, I've lived here most of my life, but yeah, that would be my connection to Palestine.
We, both Lena and I, have family roots near Nablus as well, so
Really?
We might all be cousins. We'll talk about
yeah,
that later.
Probably. Honestly, when I went to school in Palestine, like I met one of my best friends there. And we were friends for like 2 years, and then we realized we were related. We were like, wait, you're going to, why are you going to my dad's village for Eid? And she was like, yeah, this is my dad's village. What do you mean? So, small world.
I love it. That's a truly Palestinian story. And can I ask, you mentioned your grandmother. Are you talking about your maternal or your paternal grandmother?
This is my paternal grandmother, yeah.
I'm curious, Mona, while we're on like this topic, how old were you when you were in Palestine? Do you remember it very well?
Yeah, actually, I do. Like, it was such a good part of my life. I feel like they were very formative memories. It was when I was around 6 years old to 8, so it was only like 2.5 years-ish. But it was, yeah, I feel like because I was at the age where, you know, you're picking up language, you're picking up a lot around you, it was a great time to actually live there because I think it really strengthened my Arabic, and there is a lot that I can remember from that time. So yeah, it was around that time that I got to spend a lot of time with my grandma, and I got to, you know, actually form those memories with her, which was amazing.
This paternal grandmother, the same one?
This is the paternal grandma. She's the one who taught me Tatreez. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that was going to be our next question. Please tell us all about that. How did you learn?
Sure. I mean, so she's incredible. She was the most amazing woman. I mean, I'll tell you the whole story maybe, and then like
Please
we can
do.
get into the Tatreez aspect as well. But she had 8 kids, right? And my grandfather, so her husband, had actually passed away when my dad was around 5 years old. So he was very young, and so were his siblings. Like, they were all very young, and my grandma kind of had to raise them all on her own. And this is why she's just such an incredible woman, is she was so tenacious and just had the most amazing, like, strong personality, to be able to kind of go through that and also, you know, provide for all of these kids. She was a seamstress, so she used to, you know, sew like school uniforms for the village and then like sell them and make money that way. But she also did Tatreez. But her the Tatreez side, the Tatreez aspect, I think she always gifted that. Like, I don't think I ever heard of my grandma selling her Tatreez, and I think it's partly because she found it hard to price, like, you know, how much do I price for something that I spent so long on? But also I think it just like meant a lot to her, like, to gift someone a piece. And I think that's really beautiful, because even now I'll go to like relatives' houses or people who knew my grandma, and you'll just be in their house and be like, oh, like, my grandma made that. That's definitely her work. And you can tell. There's even, for example, here in the UK, because she came to visit a couple of times, like, my old GP a long time ago, you know, when I was a child. So my family doctor, he had a piece of hers, like, framed in his, like, doctor's office. And that's beautiful. Like,
that's
the fact that her work is everywhere. Yeah, so it was through her that I learned Tatreez. So when I was, 6 or 7, this was while I lived in Ramallah. We lived in Palestine at the time. She was like, she sat me down, and I was, you know, I always used to watch her do her Tatreez, and like, I was so fascinated. She was like, do you want to do something? And I was like, yeah, go on. And I'm actually wearing it today. So it's like this necklace that she like worked on with me.
That is so sweet. That is so
and I've kept
special.
it all these years. It's just amazing. It's like, it's so cute, and she stuffed it with like cotton, I guess.
That is adorable.
It's so cute, right? Like, it's the best
I love
thing
it.
ever.
I love it.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, and she sat me down. She like showed me how to cross stitch, and even after that, whenever she was working on a project, she'd see me kind of like just looking over, seeing what she's doing. She's like, "Do you wanna just like do a few lines?" And you know, like, that's such a big honor to be given.
Yeah.
Like, if someone allows you to do a few lines in their work, I mean, you could tell it was my work, not hers. And she'd secretly undo it. Like, she'd be like, "Wow, well done." Let's not keep it that way. But yeah, well done. But it was a good chance, you know, like, to allow me to, you know, learn how to do it. So I was very appreciative of that. And like, as I got older, I guess I got into embroidery, and I just kept that skill. So instead of cross stitch, I started kind of just doing like normal embroidery, you know, like plants and whatever. And then later on, I think, like, when she started developing Alzheimer's, I just realized how big of an impact embroidery had on her life. So like, even though she wasn't communicating with us as much, but, you know, we'd buy her the materials for her embroidery when she'd come to visit, and she'd just sit and embroider, and it's like that muscle memory that she had just like kind of put her at ease and made her feel quite calm as well. And I just realized like how important it was to her, and how important it was to me to like revive that and learn it again, and, you know, kind of actually put it into practice, what I learned. I think it is quite like fascinating, is that she kind of, most of the time she did her own thing. Sometimes, like, I don't know if you've seen those kits where it's like there's a printed image of something, and it's still like Palestinian cross stitch, but it's like super easy, beginner. So I sometimes work on that like alongside her. That was like, I think the most recent time that she had come, like before she passed away, or maybe the time before, where I kind of like worked alongside her. But it's just such a special moment to like be able to kind of share that with her, which was really lovely. A lot of the time though, she did kind of just sit in her own world, and she was like, you know, engrossed in stitching, and she might watch some TV or something, but like she was basically in her own world, just doing her thing.
That's so beautiful. And was she typically doing things that like were hung on the wall, like the doctor's office, or did she also do a thwab, other items?
Yeah, I think most of her work was, she did a lot. So there was things like sweet boxes, like tissue boxes, these like wall hangings. A lot of it is like maps of like Palestine and the Levant region. Basically, it was a lot. And even tablecloths, I'm trying to think what else, but like this is why it's like you'll go into someone's house and you'll literally see it anywhere. Like it'll just be like a tissue box or something. You're like, wait, hang on a minute. Like I've seen that pattern before. It looks familiar. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. And I actually got to witness her going to get these things made. Like, you know, in Palestine it's so easy. Here I don't know why, it's just so difficult to get anything sort of like crafted or even framed or anything like that. But over there, like when I'd stay with her and she'd take me to Jenin, she'd be like, okay, come on, let's go down to Jenin. We're gonna. Well, she wouldn't even tell me all of this. She'd just be like, come on, like no context whatsoever. You know, she'd have all her tattoos in a bag. Yeah. And I'd just be like following her around, like really confused as to what's going on. And we'd get to this like, you know, woodworking shop, and she's like, okay, like, you know, get this framed for me. And she'd be like, yeah, I want this into like a tissue box or this or whatever. And we'd go pick it up a couple of weeks later. So like, it's really cool to be able to have seen the whole process. I think there was just so much that I was exposed to, and inspiring. Yeah.
Yeah. Did your grandmother have a distinct style that you would call? Because you said you could recognize her work when you see it in family members' houses. Like, what about her work stands out and is very recognizable to her?
Yeah, I think some of the patterns that she used were quite, like, she'd repeat them quite a bit. Like, she had certain patterns. I wish I could show you. I mean, they're probably downstairs somewhere. But, yeah, certain patterns that she would kind of, I guess, replicate and she was comfortable in using. And I guess now that I stitch as well, I'm like, yeah, I think I have a favorite pattern. Like there's certain patterns that you're just like, I'm really comfortable with doing this like over and over again. And I guess if you're doing it so much for so many people, yeah, it makes sense to kind of choose something and stick with it. So there was that. But also apparently my grandma used to really like patterns that originated from Gaza. And since we're not based in Gaza, like, and seeing a lot of Gaza patterns, that was also a distinction. So, yeah, like really cool, very interesting. I think the more I grow up and the more I learn about Tatreez, I'm like, things start to click. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense, you know? So, yeah.
I also love motifs and patterns from Gaza. They're so beautiful. And
really pretty.
The colors are just, oh, God, right up my alley.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So we typically ask a question towards the end of the episodes about kind of what you're currently working on, but it's related to your grandmother. So I'd love to kind of jump into at least one of the projects that you're working on that is related to your grandmother, inspired by your grandmother, because I know our listeners would love to hear about this story.
Yeah. So the Thobe, the infamous Thobe, I love it because I feel like it was the whole reason that I've gotten connected with the Tatreez community, especially on Instagram. Like, it's just great.
Okay, wait, start from the beginning, though. Start from the beginning.
I will tell you what is going on. Okay, so I was in Palestine in October, and, you know, I was speaking to my auntie, and she was, like, kind of looking at the thing that I was working on at the time. So there was a piece that I was stitching, and before then, I had visited Palestine, and that was around the time that my grandma was passing away, and my auntie had seen that I can do Tatreez, and she was kind of just like in awe that, like, you know, someone my age is doing Tatreez, because all of my other cousins didn't, you know, continue that, and her and my other aunties were like, wow, like, Mona can actually stitch. That's wow, huh? She's the girl who lives abroad and she knows how to stitch. This is weird. So yeah, so the last time I went, she like was speaking to me and she said, okay, so basically there's a thobe that your grandma had started on. How would you feel about maybe finishing it off? I was like, what? Like, this is the greatest honor of all time. Are you kidding me? And I knew nothing about this. Like, this was news to me. She never mentioned it. She never mentioned it to anyone, really. I think she planned on finishing it herself. but because her eyesight is not as good anymore, and like she can't really stitch as much anymore, she thought, okay, let me give it to someone else to finish it off. And yeah, I felt so grateful that she even mentioned it and brought it up to me, because I feel like to her it's really special. It's her mum's, you know, piece of art basically, and for her to trust it, to entrust it to me, it felt like, yeah, a massive honor. So I took it and I was like, yeah, for sure. Like, I am working on this, like, immediately. Went down to, I think I was going to Ramallah the next day. And I was like, okay, I've got to find, you know, all the threads that, you know, match the colors. I need to get some waist fabric, like waist canvas. And I did, and I got it all, and I was like, okay, I'm ready. Like, once I get back, this is what I'm getting started on. So yeah, that's the story of the Thobe, and I have gotten started on it. You know, I continued the design. So because when she gave it to me, it was like a tiny bit of the chest design. Mm-hmm. So there was still a lot to do. Obviously, like when you do a thobe, you're doing the qibba, which is like the chest piece, and like you've got to, you know, finish off that design. So I put in, and this is when I contacted you, Lena, and I think that was a great moment as well, because I really felt like felt like it was a boost of motivation. I was like, okay, I think I can do this, you know.
Yeah.
And after speaking to you, I completed the design. And yeah, it turned out really nice. I don't know if I'm still loving it, but I'm like, no, I've got to stick with it. I made like 2 versions and then chose one version, and now I'm like, I need to make a 3rd version. I don't know. But yeah, I just want it to be so perfect. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really trying to envision what she was trying to envision. But it's really hard because I can't even find the original design. Went through her old book, and still couldn't find it. So we'll see. I mean, maybe in one of these like groups that I'm in, someone will find the design and like it will help. But yeah, I've still got to design the arms. But yeah, I think we're getting there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And for those who are listening, Muna's the Ebba had like, it had part of it that was very like it was very clear what it was, but then there was like this one corner that had like I don't know if it was its own motif or if it was part of a motif, but it was something that we can't figure out where the design came from. I mean, honestly, Muna, it could also have just been her own creation. Like we don't know. But so it's hard. It's hard. But I will say yeah, I will say though, like when you're doing designs for your a thwab or for a thobe, it's like so common. Well, I don't know. So my experience was, I don't think I was ever happy with any of the designs that I did until I finished it, and then I was like, oh, okay, I like it a lot. This is good, and like I'm done with it. It's time to move on. So I think it's what you're feeling is very normal.
Okay, I'm glad.
Yeah. At some point, you just have to pick one. I know. It's a hard decision because you're spending so much time on this, and then you want to ultimately, obviously, wear it and show it off. And but don't worry. I think your heart kind of knows where to take you, and you'll get there.
Yeah. Plus, there's the added pressure of like making it perfect because it was my grandma. So I'm like, I've got one attempt at this, so I feel like I gotta just nail it.
I know.
But yeah, I mean, recently I found out that she had made other thwab, which I didn't know.
Okay.
So she made a thobe for my for my 2 cousins, and then I think she made a 3rd one, and this was going to be her 4th. So I was thinking maybe I can look at the other ones, and see if that design can, you know, maybe inspire this one, or she might have used the same motifs or something. So I'm going to have a look and see if that's the case. But yeah.
I think also what, to me, I think is really special about you taking on this project, obviously, is something your grandma started with her own hands. But I think, Lena often talks about, and I'm taking Lena's Thobe course right now, and Lena often talks about storytelling through your Tatreez designs, and specifically as we talk about your Thobe, and kind of the beauty of these two very distinctly different generations. Your grandmother who lived through the Nakba, who, lived as a refugee and started stitching this design through those lenses, through her eyes, and you being a child of the diaspora, a granddaughter of the Nakba, living abroad and kind of taking on the project. And I don't know, like, I think it would be really cool to, I don't know how far along the chess piece is, but I think it'd be so cool to just start seeing you take on your own very distinct design. And I
Yeah.
believe that your grandmother, regardless of what you choose to do, I'm sure your grandmother is very happy and proud of you doing this. So don't put the pressure of the perfection. And I say this as somebody who puts the pressure of perfection on myself.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think I agree. I think it's really special to be able to kind of incorporate both. But in some ways, I also am like, I want to make it mean as much as I can to her. Like, if I can find designs from Haifa, for example, that would be lovely to incorporate.
Yeah.
Or now that I know that she loved designs from Gaza, maybe I can try and increase that within the kind of motifs that I choose. So I think that's why I'm going back and I'm like, wait, did the designs that I choose represent that very well? Or am I going with what I like? And yeah, I guess it's getting that balance as well, because in some ways it can be quite special for me to incorporate my side of things as well. But we'll see. I mean, I'm still deciding.
Take your time.
No rush, no pressure.
Take your time.
Rush. Yeah.
Take your time. Did she have like a specific, like when you say that she had done 3 athwab before, did she have a specific approach to like how, basically which panels she had Tatreez on, and was it like mimicking the 6-branch dress? Did it have like a full block of Tatreez on the front panel or the sleeves? Like, do you have a sense of kind of general design from a high level?
One of them. Yeah, I've only seen one of them, and it was, she had the chest covered, the chest piece, and then also like 2 running manajil stitches, I guess, that went down, all the way down. But other than that, I haven't seen the other ones, so I'm on a hunt. I'm on a search for like everything that my grandma made, just so that I can reconnect with it even more and incorporate it into like future designs. But it would be really nice to know. Yeah,
we'll have to keep an eye out. We're gonna keep tabs on you, Muna. I'm really excited to see this come to life, and then we'll bring you back when you're done so that we can see it completed.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to be back. I'll show you the completed product. I don't know about stitching it together, like sewing it together. I do sew, but like my skills are very limited. I don't know if I can do a thobe.
I hear you.
Yeah.
You gotta find a khayat.
I'm like, I can do something like that, but like a thobe? I don't know. Yeah, I gotta find a khayat. Or maybe my auntie will stitch it together. She'll sew it together. We'll see.
I know we alluded to it a little earlier, but you have a very fun Tatreez project that you have kicked off, really focused on the Tatreez community, called the Tatreez Revival. So can you share a little bit about that and the journey to what made you want to start this project and kind of where you are with it now?
Yeah. I'm so excited about this project. I think it kind of goes on to, reconnecting with your roots and reconnecting with Tatreez, and then also following on the legacy of our ancestors. And even so, like with everything that I do now with Tatreez, I try and do it with the intention that my grandma, reaps the rewards, so like gets ajr from it, because I feel like she's the one who taught me, and so anything else, like anyone else that I teach, in some ways it should go back to her as well. So Tatreez Revival, the reason that I started it was, I guess I was seeing different collectives in different spots. You know, like you've got your local collective, someone in London has a collective, someone wherever has a collective. But being able to connect all of those together and connect everyone globally through Tatreez. So I think that's the main reason that I set it up. But I think also it's a way, for people to stay connected, but also to make Tatreez accessible and make it fetch. I mean, like, make it like really popular again. You know, like we want to bring it back. We want Tatreez to be revived. We want everyone to be able to access it. We want I don't want any barriers to come between anyone and learning Tatreez. And I think the path to get started in Tatreez is quite easy, right? Like materials are relatively easy to find. The resources online, like Teta, like having an archive of free patterns is amazing. Like that's such a great resource to have. So the resources are there, the materials are there. So what's the issue? Well, it's to do with like people actually getting started. It's that push to get started, right? And I want there to not be a barrier for that. So learning Tatreez, whether you are, you've got a local workshop or online, should be relatively easy. And that's why Tatreez Revival comes in, because, the whole purpose is that we provide accessible workshops, right? Accessible, so the Discord is one thing, people being able to join bi-weekly stitching circles, online, from the comfort of your own home. We've had 2 already, and they went amazing. Like all the people that I've met on there are just incredible, very talented people. So you get a lot of inspiration, but also, accountability, because you come back and you're like, okay, this is my allocated Tatreez time, right? I think that's something that we all struggle with because we have such busy days and busy lives. So having a time that's like, this is for Tatreez, no one disturb me, don't come into this room or else. It's great. It's really good because then, you're encouraged to actually complete your project and continue it. So that's one thing, is the Discord. Another thing is helping people, set up workshops in their local area. So this is one thing that I'm working on currently, and that's basically like a trainer model. And in that way, we can spread Tatreez worldwide, right? Like, there's not a limitation on whether you have a workshop facilitator in your area. The limitation doesn't exist anymore because we are providing everything you need to set up a workshop, everything that you need, to structure your workshop. How will you find your participants? How will you market your workshop? And all of this also being accessible, very affordable, very easy to get to, so that people can just easily go in their local area, set up a workshop with the help and support of us, and teach Tatreez to others. So imagine how many people will learn Tatreez through this, and imagine how many people, I think even you guys, how many people you've taught in the time that you have been doing workshops or even posts online and that kind of thing. And it's just that impact is really beautiful. It's amazing. And I'm very excited to see where it's going to go. So yeah, thank you for letting me drone on about it.
No, I love. Are you kidding me? That, all the chills. That's amazing. I'm so proud of you. I know your grandmother is insanely proud of you as well. Everything you're doing, I think what's really special about it too, it's you can tell by listening to you talk about it. It's very based in community, which we often Lena and I talk about it all the time, of what a huge emphasis community has in the world of Tatreez and how important it is. So I think that's great. And, let us know how we can help and support. And we have to talk because we have an existing Facebook group. As a geriatric millennial, I am still on Facebook. But we have a Facebook group with I know. I have Discord. I have to get on the Discord. It's just another app. But I do have to get on the Discord. So, whether you're a Facebook person, you're a Discord person, you're an Instagram person, I think the beauty is like there is this vast community and everyone is trying to tie together and support each other. So bravo aleki. I love it. And one day I will join one of the virtual circles once my schedule allows me to.
Yeah, we'd love to have you there. It would be incredible, honestly. I think, like, to be honest, Discord is a tricky one. I didn't really know how to use it before I set this up, but it's okay.
We're learning.
Because, like, that's part of the community is, you know, finding people who will help you kind of learn and do this. So, like, with the Discord, I very minimally knew how to use Discord. Did I know how to set up a server? Absolutely not. No. I got way too confident and was like, let me set up a Discord, branded it to people, and then, you know, I was like, okay, I need like Discord moderators, I think. Like, I don't know how this works. And luckily I got some Discord moderators, which is really great. And these girls are incredible and they're all really passionate about Tatreez and passionate about, you know, the mission that we have with Tatreez Revival. And it's really great being able to find people like that, who, you know, have helped me kind of set this up, which is great. Yeah.
I love your attitude about it. You're like, yeah, I'm just going to figure it out. Like, that's honestly such a great attitude to have, because I think without that, you stop creativity. So I love that approach.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, going off of like the whole thing that you mentioned about community, I think this is something that's really, really important in Tatreez. Like, and we've realized how important it is, especially like with what's been happening since October as well. You know, connecting with the community, connecting people with each other as well, making people feel like they have a space that's welcome, that makes them feel, you know, seen in a way, where you feel comfortable to express yourself and express your art. That's something that's like really important as well in Tatreez Revival, but also in Tatreez, I think, in general. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think fostering that community is great and important.
Yeah, and it's something that like my grandma also displayed to me as well. So like even when she came to the UK, like she didn't speak English, but she still managed to do workshops here. How? I don't know.
No
but
way.
It's like, you can speak through Tatreez. Like the language that you use is your hands. You know, there's no need for you to actually speak to people. But you're able to transfer the importance of it and your passion and the excitement that you have for this beautiful art and craft to other people without actually having to use the language. And so me witnessing that with my grandma, I was like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. Like, I got to do this.
That's amazing, Winna. So for those of our listeners who are interested in joining or getting, I guess, the guidance to create their own workshop locally, what are the steps to take? And we'll obviously link it into the show notes, but how does it look like to work with you guys right now?
Sure. So right now it's very early days. Like I'm still putting together the Train the Trainer workshops. However, what you can do is join our Discord. So on Tatreez Revival, you can go to our Instagram, and then in the bio you can find the link to join the Discord currently. If you are interested in setting up a workshop in your local area, wherever you are, do get in touch with us, like DM us, because we can still help you out even though our workshops are not set up just yet. So we've been doing that with other people as well. We're happy to help. Any assistance that you need, we'll help you find, motifs that you can use for your workshop, the exact kind of materials that you might need to buy. We'll help you price your workshops. We'll help you with all of that. So you can just get in touch and we'll help you out.
That's amazing. That's amazing, Winna. I'm so excited to see where this goes. Again, like we'll have to bring you back and we'll talk about this as well.
Yeah, I'm super excited as well. And honestly, I've met the most amazing people, I feel like, so far. And this has been one of the best things that Tatreez has given me, is like just meeting the most talented people, the nicest and kindest people as well. So yeah, very grateful.
I co-sign that. I continuously say community has become one of my favorite parts of Tatreez. So very relatable. Okay, before we wrap up today, we want to ask you, are there any major life lessons that you have taken away from Tatreez that Tatreez has given you?
I would say don't be scared to take this like next step. Like if you have an idea, just go for it. And don't be afraid to kind of express yourself in that way, because I feel like what started all of this for me is kind of posting that first video online. And even though I'm definitely not a content creator. I don't know how you guys do it. I could
I'm
never,
not.
could never be me.
Lena is the content creator out of the
Lena,
bunch.
I
It's
don't know how
hard.
you do it. That's some serious work, like coming up with ideas and all of that. Honestly, amazing work. But just making that first video, I think it exposed me to the community, and just, it shows that taking that leap and taking that first step, even though I was a bit apprehensive, I was like, oh, are my followers going to hate this? Like, are people just going to like get really tired of me talking about Tatreez and stuff? And it's like, does it really matter? Just enjoy it, enjoy the process. It's going to open up so many doors for you at the end of the day. Like, if you want to post about Tatreez, post about Tatreez, right? Like, it's going to be fun. Express yourself. And I feel like that's what I've learned in the most recently, right? Like with Tatreez, that's the most recent thing that I've learned is like, just take that leap. Even though you don't know how to set up a workshop, just say you can. It's good.
Yes.
It's good practice. Like,
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, fake it till you make it, for sure. Like, I had my first workshop, I think, in October, and okay, it didn't go amazingly. It's like compared to my current workshops, right? But you learn, you really do, and you build upon them, and you improve. And people still really enjoyed that first workshop, and that's what started all the other ones. So yeah, that's a big lesson that I've learned.
Yeah, and what I've noticed is even if it like goes terribly the first time, which I also can relate to that, you're making a connection with somebody, or you're making a connections between other people, and that is like the most worthwhile thing to do. Like that will like reap rewards over and over and over again as they continue to connect and then connect with each other's connections. And it's exactly basically what Tatreez Revival is doing, right? Is forging those connections between people and just getting it started and making like this great grand Tatreez network, which I love.
Definitely. And especially like even not through non-Palestinians, like, because even my first workshop, I don't think there was a single Palestinian at the workshop. So I live in Sheffield, which is like a pretty, I'd say, like white majority town. There are still other nationalities, of course. But like, a lot of my workshops will have non-Palestinians in them. But I think there's so much value in that, being able to share the craft. And everyone who goes and learns Tatreez, that's a conversation started, right? Like that, they're going to go to work, to meet their friends or whatever, and they're going to be like, yeah, like I went to this Tatreez workshop. What's Tatreez? It's a Palestinian embroidery. Oh, what's Palestine? And it just gets that conversation started. So yeah, like there's so much value in it, and just forging those connections with non-Palestinians as well, and creating that, a whole group that is in solidarity with Palestine through Tatreez, which is great.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. A big part of my workshops, I incorporate obviously like an overview of the history, but I spend a lot of time talking about the fact that Tatreez is political and Tatreez's role in resistance. That's just my vibe. So you're gonna learn some stuff if you come to a Tatreez workshop. And I think everyone I know, as I'm sure you do, like incorporates that messaging because it is so ingrained into what Tatreez is, especially today.
That's true. Yeah, I think that is really important. Is like also, just even talking about the history, or even a personal story, for example. When you share a personal story about your grandma or about your ancestors who used to do Tatreez, these stories stick with people. And I think this is really important as well, is like, you know, me sharing this story about my grandma, like, that's going to stick with people who were at the workshop. They'll be like, wow, like her grandma taught her this, and her grandma used to make these things. And I'd show them to people, like, this is one of her pieces, you know, like, keep that ingrained in your mind that this is something that my grandma did, okay? And it's a culture that lives on. It's something that, you know, doesn't die. It's something that's going to stay in your mind. So, yeah, definitely.
So good. Mona, thank you so much for joining us on Tatreez Talk. For our listeners who I know are going to want to get all the things and get all the contact for you, where are the best places for people to find you and follow you? We'll obviously put everything in the show notes, but we'd love to hear from you, the different Instagram accounts, resources, all the things.
So you can find me at Zaatar on Instagram, which is spelled Umzaatar. And you can also find me at Tatreez Revival. So, yeah, that we're also on Instagram. Website, hopefully pending soon. We'll see.
So exciting.
Still got to figure that out. Like I figured out the Discord.
We can help you. We can help you. We'll talk.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I will get in touch. But yeah, so find me.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here. We can't wait to see what else you create. We'll talk to you soon.
This was amazing. Thank you. Thank you both.
That was such a great conversation with Mona. Oh, and can we just, I feel like we said this in a recent episode when we talked to Sam, but just one more time, give it up for Palestinian grandmas. Shout out to all the Palestinian tetas and sitas.
100%. Oh, they're the best. And I will say, we didn't mention it in the episode, but there's a couple of reels that Mona created on Instagram that basically talk through this Thobe project that she's doing, on behalf and in honor of her grandmother. And they're just so beautiful. So we will share those as well in the show notes. And when we post her episode, we'll have those kind of on Instagram because I think they're worth just taking a couple of minutes to watch. But yeah, I think it's so beautiful to honor and then also continue the tradition and embed yourself. You know, she's able to add a little bit of her unique personality as well as she finishes up this Thobe. Thank you guys so much for listening to Tatreez Talk. We want to hear about your Tatreez journey, so please share your stories with us at tatreeztalk@gmail.com, and we might have you on an upcoming episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite listening platform, and make sure that you leave us a 5-star review. This helps our podcast continue going. So go ahead and follow me at Linus Thobe and Amani at Minamani, and make sure to also follow the pod at Tatreez Talk. Until next time, Switchers.